Hi friends, this is Laura here. If you don't already know me, thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. And this is my co-host here. Come here, Bob. His name is Thor. It's a little confused. But so I'm bringing you to, it's actually technically in Wilson, Arizona. It's in northern Arizona. Very close to Flagstaff though. If you're traveling through Flagstaff, you kind of quickly go on whatever exit that is, and then travel for about 7 miles, then go down some road. Anyways, it's about a 12-mile hike today. It's like perfect weather. It's like 65 degrees, and then halfway through, there's going to be a really beautiful waterfall. So I'm super excited for that. I'll share more about that, of course. But that's basically just the location I wanted to let you know that I'm coming from. And now I'm going to kind of dive in on my topic that has nothing really to do with hiking. It's just like I said though, if you've never seen my videos before, I just love kind of getting out in nature, hiking, and then it kind of just clears my mind and allows me to talk about some topics that I would love to kind of talk about with my lovely viewers. So anyways, without further ado, here we go. To back up is that my husband passed away nearly 2.5 years ago now, and at the beginning, after he passed away, I would get so like offended by some of the questions that people ask because they were just so rude, so inconsiderate, just like I actually can't believe you just said that. And it took me a while to kind of understand that someone's just saying that because they just have no idea what to say to you. And that's probably like my biggest takeaway, and I'll get into that further along in the video. But for me, when I was kind of looking at it there, I ended up going to my Instagram, and if you don't follow me already on Instagram, I'll link my handle below, and that's kind of where I started this channel from. Have an awesome little viewers ship over there, and kind of share basically more daily about some of the things that I talk about on my YouTube channel. But anyways, I asked in my stories, I said, you know, I'll share these all anonymously, but what are some of the things that people said to you that were rude or inappropriate or anything like that at the beginning of your grief journey that were just so ridiculous? So I got a few, and one of them was basically the exact same one as probably one of my biggest, like, oh my gosh moments. And so I just couldn't even believe someone else had this experience. But I'll go into mine a little bit more detail and then share with you hers. But basically, you know, we had James, my late husband's funeral service like 2 weeks after he passed away. And then, you know, like, we're both young, and the pastor talked about, kind of did like a little bit of, not like a sermon, but just kind of whatever happens at funerals. And he kind of just talked about how, you know, like, literally you're on this earth once, like, what are you making of your life? Like, make something awesome of your life. Basically have no regrets, which is, you know, something that I hope I preach out correctly as well. And then he, the pastor, so anyway, so then that's all over. I think that most people there kind of took something from that. I thought he did a really good job of it. So anyways, after, and I honestly couldn't even tell you who this was, but afterwards someone came up to me to say their condolences, and they were like, oh man, I guess that like makes you think with what the pastor said. And I was like, yeah, I think it probably makes everyone think. I'm sure I wasn't in the best of moods at the time, but I feel like I was just polite to most people, and I'm polite to everyone. And then so she was like, oh man, just on the topic of regret, like, you must regret, or do you regret not having children then with James? Which, like, I still to this moment could not even tell you who said this to me. Like, that was so inappropriate, because just like, thanks. And my whole thing, I normally like feel like I'm someone who, like, I normally just like smile and nod along as soon as someone says something to me, regardless of the topic. But in that moment, I just kind of was like, oh, well, we were kind of planning eventually, but like I'm only 26, so it wasn't mandatory right then. So, and it wasn't mandatory that he died at 27. So, nope, don't regret that kind of thing. Like you can't not, you know, it was just such a rude thing to say. And someone else literally said a similar story. I'm not sure at what point it was, but they messaged saying, and I hadn't even shared my story on Instagram. She said that she had someone come up and ask her, you know, being a young widow, do you wish you had children? And for me, like I could talk for a year about this topic, just feeling like, you know, I didn't then, or I didn't, but James didn't like get to kind of continue in this world basically through a child, and that's pretty hard for me to think, and that's one of the reasons why I would have wanted to. But in that moment, it's just like, did you think that that was appropriate? So another one, from like a mother's perspective, kind of on the opposite realm, is she had lost her child, and she wrote to me and said how someone said like, oh, well, the good news is like you can always make another. And that's just such a, you know, like I always feel like I can put myself very easily in the shoes that people have experienced in these situations. So to me, that like literally just breaks my heart quickly, and just makes me feel very bad for that woman. And I hope she fired back at them. But I mean, that goes back to my thing of just, you know, that person, like even that's like one of the most horrifying stories I heard. Even in that moment, like, they probably were just trying somehow to look on the positive side, like however that could possibly be. There's really obviously no positives to that, but even in that moment, like they still were able to. Come on, Thor. Look at him. He's just so cute. I have to show you him real quick. Hi, pups. Say hello to YouTube. So for me, felt really sad for her, but at the same time, I think my takeaway from that is just that, you know, people can just be super stupid. They're just not that smart sometimes. You know, and this all goes back to when people are saying, you know, grief can, you know, it's not a natural thing to talk about grief, and in our society, we really don't. It's not a normal thing to talk about. And this kind of then translates into the third topic that I want to say, that someone messaged me, and it had been, and I forget the exact time now, I think it had been like 90 days, maybe like 30 days, something like that. And someone, like, I guess maybe she was having a bad day or anything like that, and someone said like, oh, like it's been time now, it's like time to move on. And even like I get so frustrated with the term move on over move forward. So you know, that's every single person's grief journey is different, but at the same time in society it's just not like normalized to 5 years later have a bad day because you still miss that person. It doesn't matter who was in your life. So, sorry. Thor scared me. So anyways, yeah, and that's just kind of what I have to say about this topic here. If you are someone who you're following this because you're unsure of how to talk to someone going through grief, my biggest recommendations would just be to kind of just be honest. Like literally, first of all, say, I'm sorry for your loss. And then you could either, if there's like a story that you could share about that person, or they were such a good person in this way. I think a lot of people, this is like the biggest thing, is a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't want to make them sad, or I don't want to like see them cry or something like that. I mean, for me personally, I wouldn't start crying. That's not who I am, I guess. I think maybe some people would, but they might just be crying because they're just so happy that you're being normal to them, and they're, you know, you're looking at them, seeing you are going through a life struggle right now. I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, that's crappy for you. I remember when James used to do X, Y, and Z with me. I really appreciated those things about him. And that literally would be all you need to say to me. And that would have meant the world. Like that in a message, or that if you saw me in person, done. And then we'll talk about something, or we'll talk about my travels or anything like that. But that's my biggest recommendation. If you're talking to someone and talking to them about grief and they have just lost a loved one, do something like that. If you are someone who is currently going through grief, then just understand. People just don't know what to say, and you know, they're trying, even if they're saying the world's stupidest things. So anyways, that's all I got for you today. Like I said, coming from you from northern Arizona, I'll be in the Arizona area for about a month longer, and then I'm going to be going north for a large hike to be continued. It's Mount Whitney. I know, exciting. Yeah, perfect. Anyways, thank you so much, guys, and thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video, click the little subscribe. You can click the bell below too. I'd appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. Keep living life, guys.